21st to order at 7 p.m. Item number 1 on the agenda is call the roll.
Present.
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 Mayor McDonald,
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
If everybody can stand for the prayer and pledge. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather here today. Be with us as we consider what's before us and guide us to sound decisions through constructive discussion and debate. Give us patience and understanding throughout the process. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Item 4, mayor comments. The mayor is with her daughter this week. I believe it was the first week in a long time that she was able to spend the entire week with her. And with the agenda this evening being on the lighter side, she took the opportunity, and I told her I had no problem running the meeting. So she's with her daughter tonight. Item 5, citizen comments.
There's one tonight, Miss Leslie Street.
You don't want to speak anymore? Oh, okay. All right, approval of the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald.
Aye. Agenda passes 4-0. Item 7, public announcements, awards, and recognition. Who is handling that this evening? Mr. Doherty, floor is yours.
Thank you, Vice Mayor McDonald and Board. We have the Nature Fest coming up on September 20th, beginning at 9 a.m. Richard Ross is still accepting vendors. If you're interested, contact him. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I believe the next item is yours as well. Staff comments, monthly report, city manager report.
Thank you again. Have a few items to go over. We need to look at rescheduling the conclusion of the strategic planning session. I've gotten with MTAS Patrick Marsh, and his September is pretty full. So I'm looking at October 2nd or 16th, and do it before the BOC meetings. If I will email out probably tomorrow, and if we can get that, I still haven't heard back from him if either one of those 2 dates work. But if once I hear back from him, I will email out, and we'll try to get something on the books. BOZA meeting is scheduled for 6 p.m. on September 4th, prior to the BOC meeting. Fairview Annual Address is scheduled for September 18th from 9 to 10:30 here at City Hall, and it'll be hosted by Williamson, Inc. Our annual audit field work is scheduled next week and the week after. Also, wanted to let the board know we got some news today we've been waiting on for a while. Hickman County verified that the police training facility meets the zoning regulation requirements to build. City attorney is preparing a contract for purchase to be presented to the board at the September 4th meeting for approval. So that's finally moving along. But that's all my report for tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Doherty, was that the final hurdle that we felt like we needed to get over regarding that property and situation?
Well, Will, that'll get us pretty close to going to bid. But we've already gotten, I would say, I think we've gotten all of our soil testing and all that done. So we should be able to move forward pretty quickly.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from the board?
Mr. Doherty, we spoke at the last BOC meeting about having the Economic Development Officer speak at this meeting. I don't see it on the agenda. Is that happening during this portion, or is it coming up later?
I apologize. I didn't put it on the meeting. I didn't know if it needed to be in your comments, my comments, but I did ask the Economic Development Officer to be here. There may be some questions. I think maybe the attorney may see what's appropriate in this case, but I did ask her to be here.
Since 8 is staff comments and monthly reports, I think it would be appropriate for it to be B, 8B, if it meets with the approval of the board, which would be right now.
As a point of order, where we make a motion to amend the agenda to add B.
I think you could do it now, yes, and second it, and if it passes, then you could add B there and have Ms. Carroll speak at this point.
Well, then I'll do the motion since I brought it up. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add as point 8B, a report from the Economic Development Officer.
Second?
Motion and a second. You call the roll?
Commissioner Roberts?
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald?
Aye. We will now move on to item 8B, a staff comments monthly report from the Economic Development Officer.
Hi, were you going to just ask questions, or did you
Oh,
want me to
I-
read the report again?
My apologies. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pulling out the packet from last week. I can ask questions off of that if you'd like, or if you'd like
Sure.
to present parts of your report, then that would be also perfectly fine.
It's whatever y'all want me to do.
Does anybody else on the board have questions to start? No. Okay, great. Well, Mr. Daugherty presented the report to us last week, and I'd just kind of like to hear from you in your own words, what sort of thought process went into pulling this together, and maybe if you could pick one or more of the objectives and kind of dive into specifically where you are with these, or maybe what you've got coming down the pike, that would be helpful.
Okay, glad to do it. As Mr. Daugherty said, I'm pretty sure he said, we kind of took the objectives of the job, because after discussions with you, Commissioner Roberts, we kind of felt like the prior report wasn't hitting targets that you were wanting, and that it would be a good idea to just take the objective of the job and break it down and say, hey, what am I doing that fits under these categories? And so that's what we tried to do with this report. I was still vague on some of the actual meetings, but after the strategic plan, you bringing up that you still want a little more feedback about the things I attended. We can work on that next month. But, I did things that were notable. I added because I still wasn't really sure on how much you wanted me to go down to the nitty-gritty of every event and what I did at those events. So knowing that you would like more, I definitely can direct that. And then just to keep going, we tried to, we'll break it down to like meetings I attend, like GNRC, why do I attend it? As we talked about in the strategic planning, that's where all the money's handed out. And so it's real important just to have a presence. So I attend a lot of those meetings. And then often I'll reach out to these organizations when we're in need of something. and like what grants would apply, what do you have? And I'll reach out to them and have one-on-one meetings. You know, when we were in search of what grants were available for basically roads and we could spend it in a certain amount of time, that's where, in that initial meeting is how I got turned on to TDOT, who I need to talk to. We figured that out. We had a lot of meetings with TDOT, either myself or Tom and I, and, you know, learned what we could for the grants, seeing what was possible. So that's how the interstate lighting interchange came out. So that was something that I could kind of note, hey, this meeting actually got me this. And as I talked about in the strategic planning, you know, sometimes it's the long game. I'm not going to see, yes, I may talk to a lot of people and I may promote and try to sell Fairview and make connections, but I may not see the real connections to later down the road until they need or they're interested in coming to Fairview. And so it's the long game for economic and community development. And then I guess I'll just keep going.
Vice Mayor, I got a quick question.
Mr. Hall, go ahead.
Ms. Carroll, did you have any possible help in moving along the interchange at Crocut, Cumberland 100 with TDOT?
Yeah. Well, as I explained in the strategic planning, that was an interesting story. You know, in 2017, when I was elected official, I was in the initial conversations where we did get the interchange. And so that was something that after I left kind of went dead in the water, and whoever's fault, there was changes in TDOT and changes in the city of Fairview. So when I came back, that was one of the first things that was being discussed at the time. Vice Mayor Butler had TDOT representatives come in. I was present at the meeting. It was a workshop, and we heard them talk. And as the conversations went along, I was able to look up the meeting in my phone because I keep good notes. And I was able to say what day we met with TDOT. And so after that workshop, I was able to reach out to Sam Whitson, Representative Sam Whitson, before he left office. And I told him what we had found and why we have not moved along. And so we got together a meeting with some of the people that were still around and some new people. In that meeting, Mr. Greer was there, Mr. Daugherty was present at that meeting. We sat in that meeting to only learn that it wasn't a totally funded project because some of the hands that had changed, that there was going to be additional funds needed. After I presented traffic studies, police reports, and gave them the backstory before the end of the meeting, we had the grant again, and it was fast-tracked. And so we see that going on today. So I could put my name on that, and that's over a $6 million grant. And then also it was asked in the meeting about, you know, my salary. How can we explain to the citizens about my salary, which is a common range of salary. Did a little research. I know it was mentioned Nashville only gets $99,000 for their economic development. That's not correct. It's $186,000. So we're not higher than Nashville. So they're just to throw that out there. But it was mentioned in the strategic planning that we basically needed a dollar amount on what I did. So I brought up also the lighting interchange was a $2.2 million grant. So I think for the first year, my $8 million, I've been well worth the salary. But I love the fact, I'm a numbers person, goals person, so I love the challenge of trying to figure out ways that I can try to make this match for you, because I understand as elected officials that you have a big question to answer to the citizens. So I have a lot of projects going on, I mean a lot, but today I spent the majority of my day, and you can even talk to the former mayor, vice Vice Mayor Butler because I called him twice for property in a possible deal. So also with Vice Mayor Butler, so the former Vice Mayor's property that he has out at the interstate, I promote it regularly. I got it on the TVA website. He had no idea about it, and I made the connections for him. So also with that, it's on the Middle Tennessee Industrial site. So that's a great piece of property in the community. Now, Brenda Butler may be the real estate agent, but I help a lot with trying to promote that property. There's also another piece of property across the street, the Elevation property. I probably a couple times a month answer calls and refer to them on that property. So I tell the realtors all the time, please let me know property that's zoned right, or it could feasibly be considered for additional zoning, meets the comprehensive plan. So those are things that I do. Also, you know, the coffee, that's something y'all known about, we talk about, but it's a networking avenue. It gives the people access to department heads, elected officials, stakeholders. We have partners that come in. We had Columbia State come in, the new president of the Williamson campus. He talked about programs. So that's exciting. And as we talked about in the strategic plan, I actually plan on doing a lot more stuff like that, because anytime we can provide information and services to the business owners and the citizens, it's a score for Fairview. So the other last thing I would just kind of mention is I know the value of going to these events are not always understood, and that might be something that's hard to explain to us citizens. You know, why does the economic development community development officer have to go to these events? Well, if Fairview does not have a face in the community, and they're not making the connections, we're not winning. Because if you've been around in Fairview for a long time, you will realize that most people in the city of Fairview have always viewed ourselves as the redheaded stepchild. No offense to redheads. But it basically has for years, but the truth is people weren't going to the rest of the Williamson County. They were not saying, hey, we're team players. Hey, look at us. Come to our community. So a lot of times these events, I may not have an outcome, but I'm giving a face to our wonderful community. I'm talking about our nature park. I'm talking to hotels and saying, we want you to come here. So there's a little bit more than just going for a lunch. It's a networking, and I have built an ecosystem over the years in Williamson County. So it's the game of connections and making sure that we have a presence. And I absolutely love representing Fairview. It gives me joy. I did it even when I wasn't working here or had a position. So I get a lot of joy out of representing us. So anyway, I want to partner with you. I want all the free advice I can get on what you want to see, what makes you feel comfortable. Because honestly, I would love for y'all to promote my position and promote me. That's how you can support me. And I'm happy to support you in any way I can.
Thank you. Any questions from the board from Ms. Carroll?
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
I've got a comment, and then my questions are for Mr. Doherty. When we met, and I spoke with both of you before we met, I asked if we could meet, and it was my understanding that those were welcome meetings, and it was great, and I appreciate the time that you all have given me and the platform you've given me to share with you more specifics about what I meant. But I wasn't making up what my thoughts were about what this position should do, because I pulled them directly from the job description. And so while there is a networking component to this position, there's also the requirement to do things that have more tangible outcomes that are produced as part of the role. And so that was the piece that I was trying to get to, because thank you for your exposition and all of the service that you've done to the community. I don't think there's a doubt in anybody's mind that you love Fairview and that you love what you're doing. and what you have done. But there are certain things that we're still not seeing. And so Mr. Daugherty and I spoke this week, and we talked about a potential plan because there are 3 points on the job description that I really want to specifically say I just don't think that we're still seeing. So while we've talked about coffees and we've talked about meetings repeatedly, what I'm still trying to hear, Mr. Daugherty, and I think you have a response to this perhaps, is how we're going to demonstrate in the next, I think it's like 4 months, how we're going to collect, analyze, and report economic data related to the city's economic performance, how we're going to identify economic development challenges and opportunities, and strategically develop community-wide economic plans and policies, which if you take that all and summarize it into one point, it's an economic development plan. And so we've spoken about that as something that is fundamental to developing an economic development position in a city. So you and I spoke before. I guess it would be helpful if you could tell everybody your thoughts on this, please.
Yes, we are currently looking at how to create measures of success. Give what is the benefit. With a tangible, quantifiable. Where when a citizen asks, what does this do for the city? We want to have the answer readily available. A lot of this is going to be derived through going through a development process of the economic development plan, putting together the SWOT, looking at a lot of different factors, looking at how being able to say, what I would love to be able to track. City of Fairview was represented here. May not have been, it benefited because we got that name out, but then down here but it brought about an outcome. I would love to be able to come up with a system to track some of those outcomes, and also just putting together a plan that we can create goals, shoot for those goals, and also be able to provide results and what is happening from our activity and our work.
And we spoke about a timeline for that yesterday. And I'd like it to be shared with the board and have their thoughts on this, please.
Yes, we're working on, we put together some goals for the strategic planning session, maybe fine tune those, define them out a little bit, get them more, take out any vagueness out of any of them. And then we're going to, hopefully within the next few weeks, be able to have that. We also, at the same time, need to be starting on our SWOT and getting some of this background information before we can get the total comprehensive plan. But we want to have to be able pretty quickly be able to state, this is why we're doing this. This is what we hope to get out of this. And this is, and then as time goes, we want to have a structure that we can say, this is what we got out of this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we spoke yesterday and we said tonight we would talk about that. In the next meeting, you'd have a kind of an outline. And then by December, we'd have the outline of what you say you'd get done by December for the economic development plan. So we could get started on the conversations about how that's looking and what the really specific goals are, what we are doing well, where the areas that we have for growth, and what our projections are in a couple of years.
Yes, and that's going to be, a lot of that's going to be working with planning statistics, with a lot of other statistics. We're going to have to be able to drill down and decide what affects what, if that makes any sense. We're in a unique spot. This is a brand new position. We're in a unique spot to mold it, develop it, get it the way we want it. We want it to, I believe it provides, has already provided a lot of service to the community. I believe it does, but I also believe from an accountability piece, we can get to a point to where we're showing this is the reward for our efforts, and this is why we're doing what we're doing, and that's the goal, and to have a concise plan on what we're doing and why.
Thank you.
Well, and one of the things is I've already submitted a SWAT plan and a strategic plan, but it's my view. It needs to be obviously the city manager's view. So what he is wanting us to do is sit down and make sure that we're on the same page. But when you first started meeting and I kind of saw that's what you were wanting, I already sent it to the city manager. But this is the type of role it really needs to come from the directive of the city manager. I could say what I want it to look like. I'm happy to do that. But I think he, because of your conversations, has some more directive he wants me to have. And so that he just said about general, so maybe just more targeted for you. And that's fine. So it's not like we've done, I've submitted it. It's just we haven't come to the conclusion because we keep learning more about, your desire for the position. So I don't see it being a problem at all. And I love the exercise. It's great.
Well, and I think I feel a little self-conscious by this being said, it's my desire for the position. This is something that, again, is the city manager's vision based off of a job description that's written, and the board has equal opportunity to weigh in that I have. And so this is a conversation that I really do prefer to have out in the open. And as we've mentioned, there are multiple aspects to it, but
Yeah.
these are questions that are coming directly from the position description where these just haven't been discussed yet. So it's not so much my desire as much as it is, this is part of the role to report on the economic health of Fairview, and then to also keep telling us how we're going to improve or what industries we're bringing or whatever else comes up in the plan.
Yeah.
And that's the work that you all do, not
Well,
this
and
board.
I know I'm not, you're just the one that's communicating. I'm sure everybody has a opinion. I just know that you've been the one communicating with us directly, and that's great. But I did learn a lot from the strategic planning with the questions, like what Commissioner Buffalini believes that I need to prove, and I got it from your questions. So as people ask questions or give us directive, we're team player, Team Fairview. We all win. If I do my job and I meet the standards, then the community is going to win, you're going to win, and the citizens are winning. So we want to do that. So I'm glad to do whatever you would want. And please, other board members, give me feedback. If you need something else, we don't want it to be just one commissioner's directive.
Well, I have a question for you. Sorry, Vice Mayor. Thank you. I have a couple of questions for you. Where can people find you during the day?
Yeah, it's all over. I mean, there's not one place. I come up to City Hall. Sometimes it's from my home, sometimes it's from my car, and sometimes it's driving to and from events. And that's one thing. Obviously, Commissioner Buffalini, you spend some time going to some Franklin stuff. Accounting, nobody's really ever asked to, in the city, in the history, how they spend every hour of their 40-hour week. And so it's hard because you got to consider, yes, my event may only take 2 hours, but, I'm going to drive, 45 minutes to get there and 45 minutes back. So that is time consuming. My days start at different hours. Tomorrow I'll be at Columbia State at 7:30 a.m. So my hours vary. So sometimes there's, depending on what time we're here tonight. It is one of those things, but I'm one of the people that they don't have a true office for. And so when I took the job, it was given to me as a hybrid position. And some days I come and sit down in Ethan's office in the conference room, and some days I'm here. And so, but I'm always accessible by phone. And if I'm not doing something in Franklin, I'm always a quick drive.
So with that, how are your hours accountable? Because you had
We,
said
we
that.
do timesheets.
Okay, you do, okay.
Yeah, we all do. Every, even department heads.
Because you had just commented and said that, you know, nobody else gets questioned about their hours through the week. That's because, I mean, they're actually,
No, making their hours meet their,
Right.
their events they attend.
okay. And then just one more quick question. What event did you attend on 8/7 that you weren't here for your report?
Oh, yeah, that was a Leadership Middle Tennessee event. It was a sounds game, and we typically, my husband and I go to that game every year. And I had bought the tickets before I realized that we had changed the meeting date to that date. So I went to my manager, Tom Darty, and asked him if it was okay if since I had the tickets, if I wasn't there. And it's not an uncommon practice for Mr. Darty to give staff members reports. And so he said, sure, and that's where I was.
Well, just on that, I would have appreciated if that had been deferred to this meeting or a following meeting rather than our city manager reading your report, if you were able to do that at the following meeting. Because like this meeting, we don't have any reports to do. So rather than doing 3 reports that time, we could have chosen to do yours when you are present, rather than
Yeah.
having our city manager read it.
Okay, so
just
is that
throwing
a
that out
new
there.
standard you're going to ask all the employees? Because city manager gives a lot of reports, or is it just me that you want to be here to answer the questions? Because
Well-
I'm glad to do whatever.
I'm just saying because our police give their reports, fire gives their reports, parks give their reports. I'm just saying if you're going to have it, if you could do your own report, I mean, if you have something to report. I'm just saying if
Yeah.
they're able to do it, I don't see why we
Well,
can't
I'm
defer
happy
it.
to do that if you want, that's great. But I will tell you that Mr. Darty does the finance report, he does the public works report, and typically, the chiefs are allowed to take a night off. They're not always here, but they send a representative to do the report. So if that's something you're going to change, let Mr. Darty know, and I'm happy to come. I do get personal time, so PTO. So, I mean, if that's the case, we'll just, if it so happens I have an event that night, then we'll just see if Rachel can move it over to a next meeting, like you're suggesting. But I just didn't know why just me if other people have given their reports.
I don't think it was just you. I mean, I've also asked to hear from our public works, but I was told that he's not a public speaker. So, I mean,
Okay.
all the other departments give their own reports, except for finance, which I don't understand why our finance director doesn't give his finance report either. I'd like to see all the directors give their own reports. This way, if we have questions, we can actually ask them directly, rather than hop, skipping, and jumping from our city manager to them, and then back to the city manager, and then back to us.
Yeah.
I would love to see that, but I'm just one of 5 members here on this board.
Well, I'm not a director, and I know Mr. Darty explained that. It is a dream that he would like to have the department, but as of right now, I just come because it is a new position, and, you know, I'm excited to talk about what I'm doing. So if that's the case, if you're directing Mr. Darty to do that, then that's fine. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to do what Mr. Darty wants me to do. He's my boss.
Vice Mayor.
Commissioner Roberts.
Mr. Doherty, based on our meeting before the last meeting, was it your expectation that the board expected Ms. Carroll to be here to give the economic development report at the last meeting?
I have not talked to anybody but you about that. I did talk to you about how that I will handle situations differently going forward. When I was asked if I would give the report, I didn't think much about it, and I said yes, I would, and I will. We will have the people that representing their departments give their reports. I just like I said, going forward, I think that's something that the board. I feel it. I know that's what y'all want. I don't think any of our employees have an issue with it. And if I have an issue with it down the road, I'll let you know. But as of right now, I think any of our employees are competent and can give their reports. Thank you.
Mr. Daugherty, at the July 31st Town Hall meeting, I was very clear that the Economic Development Officer presenting her report to us was what would be most helpful. And it's not about the specific person. It's about us developing a new position that is a year and a half old. So it's also not entirely accurate to say it's a brand-new position. It's a year and a half old. And it is appropriate for us to ask you questions or to sometimes have a discourse directly with the staff person who's running it, whether they're a department head or not. If it's the person that's building the position, then that's so. So this is different than somebody who just couldn't make it because it was specifically asked. So to Commissioner Buffalini's point, we had an expectation, and then it wasn't met. And so the board was surprised, and we weren't giving an opportunity. And I do agree with the point that we had a really packed agenda. Just giving us the respect to ask us and push it back was what we wanted. But I think it's important that we're really clear about what happened and that we don't change the narrative because the board isn't trying to overstep or expect something different out of one staff person than anyone else. And so it was clear in the town hall that was what we wanted for the next meeting, and then we weren't told. And then you said that she was at a conference. And now we've just heard it was a baseball game. And so I want us to be really clear on what we're doing, what our expectations are. And I don't think the board is being unduly harsh to you or to any of your staff by asking for us to be notified. And also, when we do want someone to give a report, it is within the purview of this board to request that. And when we're developing a new position, I think it is very fair and important for us to be able to ask these questions and with nobody getting defensive. These are questions we need to ask and then help when we can. We're up here and we were elected because we have skill sets that can be helpful. And so I'm trying to be helpful now, but I want to make sure that we're really clear on what actually happened.
Crystal, I don't think any of our employees have a problem giving any reports. And as I've said earlier to you, I will not handle a report like that again. And going forward, we will, if somebody can't be there to do the report, we will push it unless I will probably email the board and say, hey, I have somebody that can't give a report. Are you good if I give it, or do you want me to push it? And that is, life does happen. But I'm not saying I'm going to let people off when they want to do whatever, but I'm just saying that I didn't communicate well in that situation, and that won't happen again.
Thank you. And I think it's fair if a person cannot make it, then that's okay. What was different here is that there was an expectation that a person would be here. So it doesn't even matter necessarily who it was when it's that was the expectation. I think the board was caught off guard. But the fact that this is a position that we're building in the city and we are asking for information, and we've had conversations before about concerns about the position being built out, it's different. It's different for those reasons. Since the question was raised, I wanted to explain why it's different. But
Vice
thank
Mayor.
you, and thank you for your conversations you've had with me.
Vice Mayor.
Commissioner Hall.
Ms. Carroll, I know the mayor goes to GNRC meetings with you and other meetings. Do you have an objection to any one of the other board members go along? I know we possibly can't go two of us at a time because it probably interfere with the sunshine law. So if, like, the mayor can't make it and somebody else can, do you have a problem with that?
No, it's open to the public. Anybody could come and sit in the audience. The only person that gets to speak or vote is the mayor.
Is the mayor.
Now, she was out of town, and, I was there. But basically, I think it's educational. I think you would learn a lot from it. And because you went,
Yes.
but that's where all the money's divvied out. That's
Right.
how you get your project ahead.
Okay. Mr. Carter, how do you view that suggestion?
I think would be great for a BOC member to attend those meetings. I would be careful about sending more than one BOC meeting because of the impression it leaves. But I think it speaks loudly to that group when there is interest in attendance from BOC members. I know that Spring Hill for a while had kind of lost touch with that board, and they've been back in touch over the past 2 years, and it's made a major difference as far as projects and scheduling of those projects. So I think the same thing goes for Fairview. I think when there's interest and there's attendance, I think there's a noticeable difference about results.
Well, I do know that the MPO at one time had a huge class that myself and the codes director attended, but I would have loved to have seen all board commissioners attended that meeting because it was a safety factor on roads improvements, and one of the 10 most dangerous roads in the United States was one of the things that was the class was attendance was talking about that day. So there's a lot of other things that come into some of these meetings that Ms. Carroll's probably more aware of it now than I am than I was in the past. But sometimes those safety factors that come in roads and construction and everything that possibly our board really needs to know, as well as the city manager. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
I will say that after I left office, nobody attended those meetings, so Fairview didn't have a seat at the table. Thank you to the mayor. When she got elected, she did start attending, and it makes a difference. I still attended the meetings, so the majority of the time when I worked for the congressional office, because it's federal dollars, and a lot of times representatives will come and sit in the office. So it's nice to see the interest, and it's nice to see people, us having a face there again. So I would love for any of you to get involved, and if any of you want meetings with these people, or we can bring a workshop. If, once, I know for a while it seemed like you had a lot of workshops. We could bring some of these people in, and just for you can ask questions about, how do you get grants? What do we do? And stuff like that. Those are all things that I think would be good for the board, good for the community, and they're, more than willing to do. So that's something that we can, look down the road and potentially do. The connections make all the difference, so.
Vice Mayor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This is not a question for you. It's actually a question for Mr. Carter. Can you elaborate a little bit on the sunshine law as far as if we go to events? Because I go to a lot of events with Ms. Carroll as well. Are we allowed to discuss things as long as we're not deliberating on them, or it comes up on an agenda or a voting item? If we go to a class for, say, GNRC, we just say, like, this is something good for our city. Are we able to discuss things like that? I just need you to elaborate just a little bit.
Attending the event is not the concern. The concern is that, number one, the concern is the appearance of more than one of you being together, because a public meeting is a meeting of two or more elected officials. So it's the appearance of being seen together. But the violation occurs when there's discussions or deliberations about an item that's currently before the board or will eventually be before the board. And often those conversations start out innocently with just regular type of discussion and how are you, and quickly go downhill from there, because, and it's inadvertent usually, but you end up talking about what you have in common, which is which is the business of Fairview. That's the work that must be done in front of the public at a publicly called meeting. And so generally, I discourage any two of you to be seen together or talking about business, because of the perception it leaves, and I know how easy it becomes a violation. But being at a meeting together is not a violation per se, and is not typically a problem. The problem comes when the conversation starts, which eventually always leads to discussion and deliberation.
So going to like a football game or a hockey game or a baseball game is fair, is fine?
I mean, it doesn't matter where it is. It's the interaction between two or more of you. I mean, you could be at Disney World, and if you start talking about the business of Fairview, and it's something, you start talking about something that's going to be voted on or an issue in Fairview, then you're probably violating the Open Meetings Act because you're having a meeting at Disney World. It doesn't, the place isn't the determining factor.
Well, I wasn't saying to
It's the
actually discuss
interaction.
city matters. I was just saying if we were able to go to a GNRC meeting, you know,
You could go.
together or separate or whatever.
You could all go, but
Right.
number one, the perception that's going to be is that you're going to be talking about business together, and so perceptions are what they are. I mean, there's good perceptions and there's bad perceptions. I try to avoid situations myself where the perception would be negative on me or my integrity or my place wherever I am, and I'm not an elected official. But the violation occurs when there's discussions and you open yourself up for criticism that your vote was predetermined based on a discussion or deliberation you had with another member.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions for me?
I have a question for Mr. Doherty. I believe you mentioned the follow-up with MTAS to kind of conclude our strategic planning session that we had on Saturday was either going to be October 2nd or the 16th. Is that what you had stated?
That's the 2 dates I'm looking at currently.
Okay.
I mean, we can go further, but that's,
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, that is over, it's basically either a month and a half, close to 2 months away, depending on which date we went with. Is it reasonable? Because I know one of the exercises that we still had to do in that strategic planning session was the SWOT analysis of what we learned and what we talked about. And we keep saying SWOT for anybody that doesn't know what that means. It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, where you just go through Fairview as a whole. For in this case, you know, oftentimes it's departments or businesses in the private sector, but you just identify things that fall into those categories, and it helps you kind of put a broader picture together and where your strengths are, where your threats or where your vulnerabilities are, that sort of thing. Would it be reasonable to request that the collaboration between the two of you have a SWOT analysis prepared for that meeting on that work session, to where we could kind of discuss it as a whole with the gentleman from MTAS and just kind of use that? I'm sure he's going to bring some information to the table too, but I think it might be kind of a good launching point to have a rough draft per se on that. Is that something that we can expect?
I would probably recommend doing this separately. I don't mind having Patrick coming in and officiating, but I think the exercise was supposed to be what do the commissioners want, and not necessarily an individual position.
Well, I would agree. We would still do our portion of that exercise. I just thought it would be helpful to have Ms. Carroll's opinion on what you think that position is and where you see the city, you know, looking forward. And as you have articulated, you're more knowledgeable of this stuff or on the day-to-day, and as well are you, that I think it might be beneficial for us to have that information and it doesn't have to be like a final draft or anything like that. It's just kind of where you're at. What do you think the strengths of Fairview are? What the weaknesses of Fairview are? Where our opportunities lie? That sort of thing. Not that the MTAS exercise is not helpful, but I think it puts a little bit of a dose of reality into the conversation more than just our opinions, to where we could see just a launching off point for that conversation. And I think it would be also just an opportunity for you to set a timeline to get things rolling, and then that way we could go from there.
Well, and I will tell you, I mean, I kind of have a draft of what I thought, but we really haven't had the chance to sit down. And it's really, important that we're on the same page. But I can give you whatever draft. But one thing, what I hope to do, and I was a little disappointed, our strategic planning did not get to the meat of it, and because it's really designed for y'all to plan, you to strategize, you have goals. And so because we didn't get to that point for, whatever reasons, we had a lot of questions and just it didn't move along. But I have attended 2 different ones on your seat, doing it from your way. So I kind of knew what it was supposed to look like. And I was like, oh, where are we going to get to the good stuff? I thought it was a great exercise for y'all to do, because it gives you an opportunity as a board to get on the same page. And if hey, Mr. Hall has this goal, but Mr. Vice Mayor McDonald has this, but y'all all 4 had this one thing. Like when I had to call you individually for a list for Representative Lee Reeves, because he thought maybe there was potential money, so just to do a wish list. What I learned from individually talking to you, the signs was in all of your first priorities. So I came back to Mr. Darty and I said, we need to get those signs done. That's something they all agree on, and that should be a directive. So the ideal from this strategic planning that y'all are going to do a workshop, which I'm glad to be there, except I do have a couple of vacation days, so, we'll have to, if you want to schedule it around my vacation, I'll let you. I basically felt like that this was, once you get your common goals, I'm going to be able to run with it. I'm going to be able to say, okay, for my department, I can't do everybody else's, but if you have a common vision, then I can include that in my strategic planning and SWOT. So anyway, y'all decide if are happy to come during that. I'd be interested just to come and watch and see if y'all ever get to the meat of the program in a workshop time frame. I think it's a wonderful exercise, and I think it will help y'all to know each other too. And then y'all got the opportunity, even though you heard during budget process, what some of the goals in the long term, because I think the police chief said it best. Y'all have the big decision, of making, are we going to be the board that can move these things forward? We've been talking about them for 20 years. What would the steps be to do that, or this project? So, and I'm excited about the Invest Fairview plan. I mean, just sitting down and, I presented to Mr. Darty. We kind of talked a minute, but hadn't got to the bottom and not ready to present yet. But what that would look like, we did a great job with the park, Bowie Park. The community came together. I'd like to see, I mentioned in the strategic plan, I would like some focus groups. I'd like for the citizens and the business owners to come and y'all, whoever wants to come and be a part of it and just share their visions. I found that over the years, just raising my family in this community, that the visions haven't changed that much. Now, we've got a lot done, but there's still a lot of common, like if you survey the citizens, they're still going to want a dog park. That's never changed. They're still going to want a splash pad. That's never changed. They're going to want more stuff for kids. That's never changed. A lot of stuff that was in the parks comprehensive plan, a lot of those things have never changed. We just have never been in the opportunity until now that we can say, okay, we can plan for these big projects. And I think the Invest Fairview, whatever we call it, it will be a great opportunity to do. And we're seeing, the partnerships go. I mean, so we can start, collaborating and maybe get some things that didn't make it into the budget this year. Maybe we can start fundraising them and knowing that those are futuristic. So, long story short, y'all know I like to talk. So, long story short, whatever y'all want, I'm fine. I'm here for it. Love the community. I want to succeed, and I want y'all to succeed. So whatever that takes, whatever it makes I need to do to make you feel better about it, I'm happy to do it. So there's not a lot that scares me, and there's not a lot that's going to run me away because I'm just passionate about it, and it is what it is. So.
I'd like to get the board's opinion of this. I guess this is more of a report, so we're not necessarily into like the planning, but maybe we should consider putting a discussion item on the agenda for next meeting to talk about, and I don't want this, it's not necessarily about you, it's more about like, there is real progress that can be made and without a map or without an idea of where you're headed, you just get a squirrely line, right?
Yeah. So
as we get deeper into this economic development role and we start trying to plan for the future, and you're getting opportunities that are coming to the city, and they have interest here or on the north side of town, the south side of town, the east, west, without some sort of thought from a higher elevation into what that's going to look like, you might end up with a product that you're not happy with.
Yeah.
So I do think there should be some urgency in figuring out like some of these things. So and maybe you're right. I think that's fair. That the SWOT analysis of us individuals, we all come from different situations within the city, different perspectives, represent different groups of people. It is beneficial to have our opinion. Although at the same time, I would love to have y'all's opinion without ours affecting it, right? And then we can take all of them and we can collaborate and come up with something that is more of a holistic view of Fairview Forward, right? And I don't know what that would necessarily look like, and I don't know if we want to get into it right now. I don't know if it's appropriate to get into it right now, but it might be a good idea to put something on as a discussion item on next agenda to just talk about this. What do we want this to look like? Put some goals out there. By this date, we would like to be here, that sort of thing, because I think it'll make your job, and everybody's job, our job included, easier when we understand, just like the 2040 plan made planning easy, right? But it did. It solves a lot of, it takes away a lot of the opinion in decision-making, especially for the Planning Commission. And I feel like having a well-thought-out plan for the Economic Development Office, as far as just economic policies or ideas, a map moving forward, it will only encourage you all to put a better product on the table as well.
No, I mean, I think it's great. I will, if you need me here for this discussion, I'm off that day, so I'm just going to tell you your first meeting in September. So if you want me to be a part of it, then you probably should do it the second meeting in December. If you don't need me for this conversation, and y'all can dialogue back and forth on what you want. Now, I know you've all had time now to look over the strategic plan report that I sent. It had a lot of my goals, dreams. Now, I didn't have yours in there, and that's the part I want. I want to be able to, I want you to be able to say at the end of your term, I got XYZ accomplished. And my position could help that process. There's some things I can't help you at all, but there's that, these dreaming things of, what it would look like, what projects could we look for grants or opportunities or make connections. Those are what I want to do. I think y'all might come up with a new original one, but I think there's some common ground if y'all would agree on what it is, and then I could put that in my main focus. So I know maybe we haven't done a good job presenting, and I've done some extra work just knowing that was not, I mean, honest. I told y'all the first report, I had no idea what you want, and I gave kind of similar to what I did for my report for the congressman. I didn't know what you wanted. He wanted to know how many events I attended. And so that's what I did. And as, you know, as it was said, that's not it. I've kind of rebooted and, you know, tried to give a little more details about it. You know, it's just, but yeah, let's get on the same page and we'll go from there and try to make this work out well.
Commissioner Roberts.
Vice Mayor, thank you for your comment. That was essentially the plan that Mr. Daugherty and I had discussed, but I like your idea of incorporating more of the board feedback back and forth instead of it being a report at the next meeting of there being a discussion. So I think that's a great idea. And I think, Mr. Daugherty, you can decide who needs to be here for that, whether it's the 4th. That's my thoughts on it, but yeah, I think it's great.
Just, we'll probably, I didn't mean to interrupt, did I? All right. I think going forward, we've got a lot of work to do. Eddie Carroll and myself, I want to be involved in the process because it is potentially going to morph into a department. I want us to be very, I want it to be vetted well. And I think part of that vetting is bringing it to you, but I also want to tell the board there's a lot of other things going on in this city, and it's time sometimes gets critical. So I would ask for a little bit of patience, and I'm more than willing to set up a regular schedule. But I also know that the 4th has a huge agenda on it. So maybe if we could strategically schedule some workshops and where we can just focus on that, and then maybe keep this this strategic plan kind of like what it was supposed to be. But I think if we get so many things muddled together, it's going to be hard to keep it straight. So I think what I'm going to recommend, and I'll talk to y'all, but maybe schedule maybe workshops ever so often, and we update you on where we are and what we're thinking, and then get some input. And if I'll make sure I'm here, and if Ms. Carroll can be here, and we can work that way. That's the way I would rather go about it. But I just don't want to. I don't think it's something we can take care of inside of a meeting.
Sure.
I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of conversations that will most likely go into that before you have a final product. I mean, you don't come up with zoning regulations in a day. You don't come up with a 2040 plan in a day or a major thoroughfare plan in a day. All these things take time, right? So, and to your point, I will leave that to you to decide when the bandwidth is available for you and your staff to have those conversations. I think that's a completely fair call out. And if it ends up being the following meeting or even the following month, I just don't want it to get lost on it's, just an always tomorrow item where tomorrow never comes, right? He's always pushing it down the road. Because I do understand that we haven't necessarily named it a department yet, and you are just one individual representing this space that Fairview's creating. However, I think that you carry a lot of influence in what tomorrow looks like for Fairview, right? There's a lot of, right now, I would imagine you probably get excited just about anybody calling you wanting to show interest in Fairview, where I would like to have a little bit more picky, to where hear people out, but what ultimately we'd really like to see there or what the goal is. We don't just want a large factory that is more, a small amount of employees, but a big footprint, and there's a lot of trucks. We're looking for, we might be looking for something for more employment opportunity. We'd like to see a higher volume of employees, that sort of thing. I'm just spitballing, but there's I think it's a very important role when you do start influencing what industries are coming and opportunities are coming to the city. So I would just want to keep it on the forefront of everyone's mind that we do push towards putting those goals together. And with that is all I have to say on the topic. But if anyone else has anything to say, please do so.
I have one more thing to say. I will shoot out in my email with you potential once a month, have an update with the board, and I would recommend it being at a time outside of a meeting, and we could do it in a workshop type atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carroll, thank you for your report. Item 9, we have consent agenda. Any of these items can be removed for individual consideration if any board member would like to see so. Item A, minutes from August 7th, 2025 BOC regular meeting. Item B, ordinance 2025-14, second and final reading, an ordinance for an amendment to the City of Fairview, Tennessee budget for fiscal year 24-25 budget, city manager. And item C, ordinance 25-15, second and final reading, an ordinance for an amendment to the City of Fairview, Tennessee budget for fiscal year 25-26, city manager.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Staff, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Does staff have anything they would like to add to this? Go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye. Item 10 is old business. There is none this evening. Item 11, new business. Item 11A, Resolution 44-25, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Friends of Bowie Nature Park for the purpose of volunteer opportunities. Park staff. There's a well-timed cricket. Go ahead.
So this document pretty much serves as an agreement between the Friends of Bowie and the City of Fairview. There are a lot of park projects coming up, and the Friends are a valuable asset to the park staff for assisting with these projects. Basically covers them for the entire year. So with volunteer organizations, there's been some discussion on the groups having insurance and checking some boxes before they're allowed to volunteer with us. And this basically covers every opportunity that they could have to help us at the park.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, with that, we'll open the floor for questions from the board.
I have one question, Vice Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner Buffalini.
Is there a limitation of what Friends of Bowie can do? As far as, are they allowed to use tools? Are they allowed to dig? Are they allowed to do anything like that? Because I know that they had some concerns that they weren't allowed to do certain things that would hinder their abilities and to move forward with trails or paths or try and clean up further into the park.
Question, I would say that's kind of on a case-by-case basis. They are currently helping us with the Storybook Trail. They're allowed to dig under the guidance of park staff. It just, I would say it depends on the actual volunteer opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Work together, I guess.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hall.
You mentioned something about their insurance. Would they fall under our umbrella?
So I believe their organizational insurance has to,
No, they have insurance, and they have to name the city an additional insured.
As an additional insured? Okay, thanks.
And I made sure the contract or agreement covered that and added indemnity language and other language that serves to protect the city.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor. One question about the insurance policy. The people that work under and are covered under their insurance policy are active members. What if they have just strangers come and help them for the day? Do they have to sign a waiver?
the Friends of Bowie Nature Park have their own waivers, and before they volunteer, they would become members of the Friends of Bowie and also sign waivers.
You just mean if someone just randomly shows up and pretends to be a member and
No,
Gets hurt.
no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
that's what it sounds.
say I'm not a member of Friends of Bowie and I want to go help them. Am I
The
able to
city
do
has
that?
insurance also, so I think we're, between what we're covering
Okay,
with Friends of Bowie and what they have with their volunteers that belong to them, as well as our policy, I feel confident we're covered.
okay. Because that was a question that came up in one of their meetings that I had attended. So that was just an insurance reason. I was just clarifying.
Yeah, I think if someone were to just show up and get hurt, and I didn't mean to poke fun at your question. It's just
No, it's okay.
I was trying to think of the scenario, but we actually had a scenario at Columbia Central High School 2 years ago where someone showed up and had a like uniform on and pretended to be part of the police force that was responding to someone with a gun in the school. So it happens. But if someone showed up and just started volunteering by themselves, like a rogue volunteer, so to speak, I think that the city would be covered by our insurance if that person were to get hurt, just like any other user of the park, for that matter. But as far as Friends of Bowie, I feel good that we are contractually taking the steps we need to protect both them and us from liability.
Friends would have waivers anyway for everybody helping.
Perfect, thank you.
One more.
Commissioner Hall.
Yes, I just want to make a statement. We did have an incident a few years ago, and that's when the reason the insurance is on my mind about that type of thing. And unfortunately, the vendor did not have an insurance premium, so our umbrella had to take care of the damage at that time. So I just want to make sure we were covered there.
Absolutely. You kind of take people as they come, and different people have different skill levels and different health, and the weather plays a lot into it. And so I don't think we can be too careful. And while all volunteers are welcome, we don't want to create a adverse situation for the city or the volunteer organization. So agreed. I think we all have the same goal there.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Call the roll.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you. New business item 11B, Resolution 45-25, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Fairview Fire Department and Wilson Lumber Company. Chief Hughes.
Vice Mayor, Commissioners, the MOU before you is a current MOU we have. We had it with Nashville Lumber Company. They changed ownership. This is just a change in the name and the contact information for them. Nothing else in the agreement changed.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roberts Hall. Any questions for the chief? You can call roll.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 4-0. Item 11C, discussion Fairview Service Initiative. Commissioner Roberts, floor is yours.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and apologies to everybody for all my coughing tonight. I'm so sorry about that. I realized my microphone was on during one big cough, so I am very sorry. I am excited to just bring a little bit of an update and questions for conversation to help guide this. So a few meetings ago, I mentioned that I'd like to initiate something in Fairview that would be a very forward-facing and outward marketed initiative that could be something like We Love Fairview or something along those lines. And it would be community engagement through service with the community as a whole, with the city leading. And we discussed this a little bit, but I wanted to put some finer points on it and ask the board for their thoughts on this before I go too far down the rabbit hole myself. So the goal, as I see it, is to provide information about ways to give back to our community through engagement with city entities, nonprofits, and as individuals. And then another piece of it would be a week dedicated, perhaps in the spring of 2026, to promoting service and for entities in the city to host events throughout the community. So hopefully picking something in about the March or April timeframe would give folks enough time to think about ways that they could engage with the community. The target audience is Fairview residents in the surrounding area. And anybody could participate, and this is one of the questions I do have, but what I was envisioning, and I've talked with Ms. Carroll about it and Mr. Daugherty about it a little bit. I talked with Mr. Carter some, but envisioning asking local nonprofits, churches, city staff and departments, elected officials, businesses, clubs, lodges, et cetera, anyone with an opportunity to engage in the community in a positive and uplifting manner to submit something or engage in a conversation. The suggested organization of this would be to collect information about local nonprofits and entities interested in participating, perhaps creating and using a single form to collect uniform data and information about how they want to participate. And then we could do things like develop a pamphlet or location on the city website or social media presence or all of that to provide information about local nonprofits and opportunities to share your talents and time. And then we could, of course, create a process for entities to update their information and share successes. So the questions that I have for the board, but of course you can take any of this and discuss it, but here are my points for discussion. What do you think of a multifaceted approach that includes online and print resources, a week of service opportunities, and other days throughout the year? Knowing that there are, say, certain service projects that departments in the city do. We know we've got the Shop with the Cop program, so that's a pretty easy one to identify. It's already happening. Maybe there are ways the community can get involved beyond also like all the fundraising that's already done. And then do you think we need to define what types of organizations or where they need to be located to participate? What's the scope of this that could get big, or how far of a net do we cast when we're looking for interest? I am happy to spearhead this, but also I think that there might be a point where we would want to put together maybe a small committee, a small group of either interested citizens and representatives from the city to help deploy this a little bit. And I am happy to serve on that committee, but I just wanted to open this up for conversation. And then, Mr. Daugherty, I wanted to know if you have a comprehensive list, and if not, if you would mind if I put together one of what the departments are doing already, so I could work with Chief Humphreys, Chief Hughes, anyone else that's got something going on, so we can also discuss those things. So there it all is, and I will open it up.
I don't have a comprehensive list right here at this table, but I don't think it'd be very hard to get. You're welcome, or I can get that for you.
Vice Mayor.
Commissioner Buffalini.
Commissioner Roberts, I applaud you for this initiative. I think this is great. I think this is something that our city and our community definitely needs. It's something in the right direction, the right step, and it really involves our community. This might even be something that our economic development community officer can get involved in as well. Just something else to task you with, Mrs. Carroll.
And not to interrupt, but what we did meet, Ms. Carroll had some great ideas. Yes, so
Yeah.
I'm counting on it. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that would be great as well. My only concern is that if a lot of these organizations, they are locally, yes, but they are international or nationwide or something like that. So how does that affect? Would it just affect the city branch, or would it affect all of the branches collectively?
I think that's up to the individual organization how it would work.
Okay.
Yeah, so they could have national chapters and then local chapters, but we would ask them. But for example, I've been in conversation with a couple of different organizations, and they have some things that are like not what you typically think of when you're thinking of service projects. Like I think the first thought we all have is us putting on green vests and picking up trash on the side of the road or helping to weed flower beds. But there are things like getting some specialized training to help engage with financial advising on a very light level as part of a community engagement with one of the organizations in town. So it would be something you don't typically think of, but if you have a skill set for that sort of thing, then you could be trained to be one of their volunteers. And so it's a great way to highlight the extra opportunities that are available that a lot of us don't know about. And so I think it would be up to them to decide what's the scale and scope of what they might want to do in this community.
Perfect. Yeah, I think this is great. I think, like I said before, I think I commend you, and I think this is great for the city of Fairview.
Mr. Doherty, potentially Mr. Patrick, Mr. Carter, sorry. Apologies. What's the technical process of tasking a committee or assembling a committee to brainstorm on an idea like this? Is there a specific roadmap to that?
I think the BOC could depends on how formal you wanted to start, but the BOC could create an ad hoc committee to examine and report back to the board the best way to proceed. They would specify how many members and where those members should be from. So, for example, you may want one BOC member, and you may want educator, and you may want a business person, and you may want, but you could specify the makeup of the committee, and the mayor could appoint, or the BOC could appoint those people to serve, and then come back with a report within so many months, or regarding, what their recommendation and suggestion is, and then the BOC could proceed from that point.
With a committee, is it necessary for the BOC to make an appointment, or how, I guess in my mind, it's more of how do we turn Commissioner Roberts loose to go and put a team together, right? That you're going to get a lot more accomplished when you can sit down with a group of people outside of this setting and have a brainstorming session and putting some thoughts on paper. And I don't know if there's anything that needs to technically happen from a city's perspective to allow that to take place, or if she
Well,
can
I
just
think
take it
if
upon
the-
herself to do so.
Yeah, I mean, Commissioner Roberts could do that and come back with a report or a recommendation. But if the BOC is interested in establishing a committee with, with certain types of members that represent the community, then that would be the BOC's prerogative to do that. So I've seen it done many different ways.
Yeah, I don't ask the question to try to make this messy. It doesn't, I don't know if it needs to be as formal
Maybe I
as
could
a committee, but
put out a call for interest, and then
Yeah.
we could see if we needed to put together, but Mr. Hall has something.
Commissioner Hall.
Main thing you mentioned, and we've talked about it before, is kind of a beautification along the Highway 100. The safety regulations has changed since we've done that in the past, so we would have to really get into that and see what regulations, whether we have to have police officers riding along real slow while citizens were picking up trash, especially with children out there helping do that. So that's one of the things I think we would need to look into as far as the safety factors on that.
And I think that's something that we could actually design this to try to help avoid, which is why I was thinking of alternative ways to get people involved. Not everybody is able to go do something like that. So we all have different gifts and talents, and I wanted to shine a light on the great things that are happening here and the service that Fairview can do for each other. I don't know, do you think that there needs to be a formal board, or as Vice Mayor McDonald said, can I be turned loose and then report back soon with what we've got as far as involvement?
Sounds to me as if that may be what from the head nods I've been observing from this place, from where I'm sitting, for you to maybe try to put some more detail to it and then bring it back. And then certainly if I can help, you can let me know. I think I told you about a similar, very specific committee in Spring Hill that one of the aldermen there had initiated regarding trash pickup, and he took a special interest in that, and that's going very strong, even though he's moved back to Michigan. So it can have a big impact when a board says, "Hey, we're going to really champion volunteer volunteerism in our community.
I would like to add to, I guess, the comments I made that I do love the idea, first off. I don't think you're going to get much pushback from the board as a whole when you've got a lot already thought out, and I think the more that comes, the more we're going to get excited about it. But I don't want to suggest that I'm trying to keep it informal. I do think it would be great to have something adopted or some formal something, whatever that ends up looking like, whether it's a week, whatever, just emphasis on community cleanup, community involvement, community service as a whole. I don't want to discourage you in that.
What's interesting is I mean, you all know me pretty well now, I think, but you know that I'm involved in lots of different sorts of volunteer activities, some of which are law-related, most of them really aren't. But there's so many people out there that really desperately want to volunteer, and they just don't know where to do it or where to start, which is always curious to me because I'm always one that will like find, like I'll make it a point to find my place, but not everybody's wired the same. And some people just, like you tell them where the opportunity is, and then they will show up and they'll be on it and they will wear you out doing it. But if there's a central repository for things that need to be done or organizations that need help or volunteer activity or a week or a month, Keep Fairview Beautiful month, and it's the same month every year with a program set of things that occur, I think you'll be really surprised at the number of people that will turn out because they just don't know. They're busy with their lives and their kids and work and everything else. And so when it's made easy, it's presented in a way that they can easily do it. It's shocking how much people will give, and it's always the people that have the least that give the most. And it never. I ring the bell for the Salvation Army in Colombia every year, several times with my kids, and one of the things that is most impactful to me is watch the people that have the least give the most. I mean, every year, and I think you'll find the same thing if the city really decides to champion volunteerism, and I think it's a worthy objective.
Thank you so much, and I definitely appreciate the help you've given so far, and I'll be leaning into that more. And there is a difference between a one-time volunteer and community engagement that has an ongoing effort, and so I think distinguishing those and providing those opportunities is something that would be appreciated in the community. Before this meeting, Ms. Bree shared with me the pamphlet from Bowie Nature Park and their volunteer guide, so they're one step ahead of us, but already you could go pick this up in the Nature Center and find out about opportunities to engage in Bowie Nature Park. And I would like to know about other opportunities like this that are available in the city to get started on it sooner. I've already also picked Mr. Ross's brain about how we could maybe add this in some sort of outreach since he's our public information officer, and he's on board with it too. So I just want to say thank you to the board for your support and your kind words, and thank you to Mr. Carter and Mr. Daugherty and Ms. Carroll for your help already, and Ms. Bree for your help as well. Okay, I'm really excited. How about if I plan to have an update for you at the first meeting in October? Does that sound okay? So we've got a lot going on. You don't want to hear about this in the first meeting in September. And then I've got,
That gives you
Yeah.
enough time to
it does.
piece
Thank
it
you.
together.
Okay,
I think that
thanks so
sounds
much.
great.
Vice Mayor, one quick thing. Mr. Carter, you had mentioned that one of the items could be make Fairview Beautiful month. That should be every month. Just saying. That's all.
We will close the discussion on that and move to roundtable mayor and commissioners' comments. Commissioner Hall, we'll start with you this evening.
Thank you, my Vice Mayor and Board. First off, I want to thank all the city employees on the job that they do. As I've said in the past, it's all a team effort from up here to the Planning Commission members, BOZA members, and it's just a whole team effort for the whole city. I do have an update tonight on our road paving. I've talked to Todd. I actually drove 2 of them last night, and how nice it is to drive down a road and not hit a pothole at dusk dark last night. It was just a pleasurable ride. But Chester was finished up today. Crow Cut was finished yesterday, and I don't know when Northwest was finished. Do you have any idea, Ms. Fish? Just one day this past week, it got the final topping. Yeah, okay. But it is a pleasure now to drive it. You know, I know what you put up with for many years there. Anyway, those are the ones that was done this week, as well as Old Nashville and the Horn Tavern and a few others, Glen Haven, etc. These are the ones that are in the plans for the early next month. There's some road chipping being done now, but Hidden Lake Drive and Hidden Lake Circle, if you hadn't driven up in there, that is just an absolute treasure to be up in that area there, and I know they're tickled to death to be getting the roads paved up there. Gregory Court, Santee Court, Cherokee Hills Road, Pengrove Lane, very nice name. English Ivy Pass, Shauna Circle, and Mary Susan Lane. Those are the ones that will be finished up in September. After that, the striping will be done. And Todd and his crew has stayed on top of this, watching after everything, as well as City Manager Darty is watching over it real good too. So I'm just tickled to death that I was part of one person to have to be able to vote to get this done, because I've known the problem for many years, and I did what I could with what little bit of money we had in the past. But anyway, I'm tickled to death to be able to see this brought to fruition there. The next thing of it is I'd like to bring up the intersection of Crow Cut, Cumberland, and 100. I know it's tough to go through the traffic every day, and it probably will get worse. But I think in the end, we were going to be very much appreciative that it will be done with the red light, the sidewalks, as well as the school traffic. And I know the school traffic is up and going real good now, and I know that it's a challenge up there. But that little officer out there that does a fantastic job of directing traffic, he does a good job. So, you know, that's I want to praise his job of what he does out there too. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Commissioner Buffalini.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Board. Couple of things I just want to touch on that I'm going to ask the Board. I don't know, maybe you should have done this earlier. I don't know. The city signs. I know that we stopped the voting, and we're obviously not voting on it this evening. Do we know when we're going to be voting on that, City Manager Darty?
I believe it's on the September 4th agenda.
On September 4th. Is there any option to keep that voting open between now and a couple of days prior to that, considering we only have, I don't know, what, like 40 votes maybe?
Ethan took over this endeavor. We had originally planned on having it at 2 open meetings to the public. But I'll let Ethan see what the demographic, or to see what the likelihood of that endeavor would be.
If it's the will of the board to have it open to the public, I'm happy to set it back up here at City Hall, and we will continue taking votes, if that is the directive that you are giving. The directive that we had received before was to have it at the Wednesday night open public meeting and the Saturday strategic open public meeting, and capture votes at that point. But if you four would like to see it continue, we're happy to set it up here at City Hall and have folks come in and count it prior to September 4th.
Well, I mean, that's up to the entire board here. That's something that I would like to see happen, is just give people more opportunity to come into City Hall and vote throughout the week, not just give them on like a couple hours a day or something like that. Some people work during the day, some people work at night, some people work retail and so on, and also possibly give them a dollar figure budget, because when we had people voting, there was no dollar value. They were just looking at what's the prettiest, which I get. But we want to be fiscally responsible with this project as well, and not just be like, yeah, that's the prettiest one, let's do it. Meanwhile, it's $100,000 a sign, which that's not what it is. I'm just giving a ballpark budget number out of my head. I would just like to see something and then get it out there. I did put a poll out on my own, and I deleted it once I had my own input, assuming that we were going to be deliberating on that this evening, but that didn't happen. So I just would like to see more voting going on, especially if we have time, rather than it just sit around doing nothing right now, and maybe give people an option of a number, or like option A is the cheapest, option B is the second most expensive, and then option 3 is the most expensive. Just something like that. This way, that will change people's minds as well.
The challenge with providing price is that if you build all of them with the exact same materials, option A would be the cheapest, option B is probably middle of the road, and option C is probably the most expensive. However, if you value engineered option C, it's probably just as expensive as having option A be full stone and option C be CMU block with a stone veneer. So there are opportunities, cost-saving opportunities down the line that probably balance out the pricing significantly closer. I've spoken with a few sign companies over the last week, looking to get some more realistic quotes to have. I know our engineer provided some quotes. I know those had quite a bit of contingency in them, based on if the signs were to get put in the next 30 days or in the next 5 years. Construction costs have significantly jumped every year over the last 5 years, so there is some contingency that's built in to those cost points that they had. So we're working to get a more realistic number.
Right.
And then once we have that, we'll get those numbers put out as well.
So is that something that we can do, is open up voting to have it longer here in City Hall?
I do not see a negative in getting more opinions, as long as our ballot counter feels he has the time to do so. I don't see any problem with it. Yeah. So we can just say that it'll be up here at City Hall until
Ms. Jones, what's up?
September 4th?
Just, let's, since that Monday is Labor Day, let's do it until
The Friday prior.
the last Friday of August.
There you go. So you got about another
29th? Okay, so until the 29th, they'll be able to come to City Hall and vote for the sign.
City Hall is open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Is there any option? No, I'm just saying, a lot of people, like, I work until 4:30, I get out of work, I work in Nashville, I don't get here till 5:30, I don't get the option to vote. Is there another way that we would be able to put that somewhere to vote? No? It's almost like holding a caucus, it's...
I think Chief just raised his hand to have it at the fire department.
Is that an option?
I'm joking.
I just told everyone to email Ethan.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay.
There's a potential that we could utilize the drop box outside as a drop-off location.
That would be great. I'd appreciate that, and I'm sure the city would appreciate that as well. Thank you, and so to the citizens, it will be open till the 29th, and possibility after hours, maybe, we don't know yet, but we'll see. Another thing is, thank you to Wilson Lumber. They had their ribbon cutting, another great business here in Fairview, and they are open to the public as well, not just to the trade. Tomorrow night, County Line Chaos Football, Fairview football's back. So tomorrow, 7 p.m. at the stadium here in Fairview. It's going to be great. Get to hear Mr. Hester and his voice on our brand new speakers that Commissioner McDonald donated his funds to. So we appreciate that as well. Fairview Live also did an interview with Coach Hughes, so if you guys are on Facebook, check it out. He gives some insight to how the season's going to go. According to him, we're going to Super Bowl, but so it's something good to look at. And then also, I know this is early, but Saturday, September 27th at 3 p.m., there's going to be a cornhole tournament for a nonprofit Love One benefit. And that's going to be located right here at just outside of Cano's Mexican Grill, right in City Center Way. There's going to be a silent auction, big prizes, and Cheyenne Buckley is heading that up. And I'm going to start posting some things on Facebook for that. So I want to help them with their initiative and their cornhole tournament. So if you guys are interested in a cornhole tournament, then that's something that's going to be pretty cool to participate in. And it's $50 per team. So as of right now, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Commissioner Roberts.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor, commissioners, and staff, and everyone who's here listening in person and listening online. I think we had a great conversation. I think we're moving the needle on some things. And I appreciate all the robust conversation that we've had. And I'm looking forward to the things that are coming down the pike. Just a little reminder, the Friends of the Library is hosting their book sale. Tomorrow is the last day. And I went over and got a pretty good haul yesterday. I was pretty excited about that. So go check out their titles. Again, that goes to support programming in the libraries. And I had a question from someone about a follow-up to our strategic planning session that we did last Saturday. And they wanted to know, would we have a comprehensive report? And not yet, because as you heard tonight, we still are not finished. So part 2 is still yet to come with a work session. And then I'm sure we'll give a recap to everybody of what the outcomes are from that. And that's all I have to share tonight. I'll keep it short and simple.
I think everybody pretty much covered everything I was going to mention. The only exception is football is back. We've got middle school's already off and running. We've got high school home tomorrow night, and then back at the high school field on Saturday evening is the Fairview Titans playing White Bluff. Should be a good game. Should be a good crowd. If you want to come out and support the next generation of Fairview athletics here in Fairview, you will have that opportunity to do so. But that's all I have. Thank you for your patience this evening and entertaining our questions. But I will take a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
I'm just going to move to adjourn, but I want to thank Commissioner, Vice Mayor, for doing such a good job tonight.
I appreciate
Move
the
to adjourn.
compliments. Thank you.